The eagerly anticipated new song by 21pilots, The Contract, is finally out, alongside a fantastic music video. Both the song and the music video were just released, so this is more of an initial response and some first reactions. Hopefully later on in the week or early next week, I will be doing a deeper dive into the song because there is a lot to unpack here, and I'm sure I have not yet found everything of note and everything that is important and significant about this song. And what a song it is! It is almost 4 minutes long and features a mixture of Vessel-style synths, fantastic drumming from Josh Dun, and a rapped verse from Tyler Joseph, as well as plenty to unpack in the lyrics. Looking at those first, the chorus appears to be a conversation between Clancy and himself, or another version of himself, as he says, "I don't sleep much. That's crazy. How do you know that? I keep myself up. That's maybe how you know that." Very much like he's just talking to himself as he's stuck awake one night, similar to something which we saw in Routines in the Night or lyrics in Overcompensate. And then we have these interesting lines: "Promises and contracts I used to keep, my hallucination I used to see." Now, as far as I can tell, based off of the rest of the song and the music video and even lyrics from songs like Backslide and so on, the hallucination that he used to see appears to be, or it most likely is referring to this world of Trench and Dima that he has created. And as we'll see as we continue going through the rest of this song, the idea or the concept of seeing, of using your eyes to perceive the world around you, reoccurs and is a central theme of this song, which is not surprising, given both the taped eyes at the beginning of the Clancy era, and then of course Clancy or Tyler covering his eyes at the end of the Clancy tour. The first verse in many ways reminds me of something from Routines in the Night, but also is reminiscent of Nico and the Niners, which I'll explain in a moment. But in terms of the style in which it is delivered in this rap format, it very much reminds me of Routines in the Night, and then also obviously the concept of pacing around, unable to sleep, waiting for the morning to come, is very much reminiscent of what we saw in that song and music video. But it also, in many ways, could be describing what we see in Nico and the Niners, especially towards the beginning of that music video, when he's waiting for Josh, the Torchbearer, and the rest of the Banditos to arrive and break him out of Dima. He's looking out the window to see if it's light, then he starts walking around the edge of his room, and the bed that's laid out there, as he packs up the different hats and glasses and things like that he wears to present or disguise his face. Then we go back into the pre-chorus and then the chorus, and then we come to this post-chorus, as it's called here, according to this lyrical layout, which goes, "I used to see, sleep I found." Again, talking about this concept of seeing or lack thereof, but also this idea that he found sleep, which could either be a good or a bad thing. It depends if we're talking about just the sleep that is restful or the sleep of death. Get back to that in a moment. But it also reminds me of a song on No Fun Intended, Taken by Sleep. Now, I just mentioned that it's a little unclear if the sleep is good or bad, but as we'll see when we get to the outro of this song, there is a strong implication that it is bad, that he's resistant to the sleep, but he found it, but it also kind of found him. So perhaps there is an idea similar to Taken by Sleep, which is coming in. Or it's similar to the other aspect of Taken by Sleep, where he's pacing around trying to sleep, and then he finally does. He finally can. Just the first thing that came to mind there. I'm not sure how deep that connection really is, but obviously it is a similar theme or a concept which has been playing throughout the entirety of 21pilots music, which is this idea of struggling with insomnia, for lack of a better word. And then the bridge. I want to get out there, but I don't try. I'll return to this in a moment when we look at the music video a bit more thoroughly. But it really does seem like Clancy has been pulled into some other realm of existence. Most likely what that's referring to, or what that other realm is where the seized vessels either go as they're being seized and prepared for the death that awaits them as the Glorious Gone, or just simply is where the citizens of Dima are sent when they are smeared, right? We've seen this concept of smearing all the way back to the Jumpsuit music video when Nico smears Clancy and brings him back to Dima. It's something which puts the citizens under the control of the bishops, but it also potentially could be sending them to this other realm and this other plane of existence, and they're controlled by Nico and the other bishops while they're in this other plane of existence, which is why he's wondering what the necromancer is going to pull outside, if we're assuming that the necromancer is Nico, which potentially it is. And so he's wondering what he's going to pull this time through use of controlling Clancy. In the past, Clancy was smeared and brought back, and the bishops pulled this whole Skilled and Icy ruse of propaganda. So maybe Clancy's now again trapped, smeared, captured, and wondering what the bishops, or Nico specifically, because he seems to be the only one who's left at this point, is going to pull and try to do with Clancy. Perhaps Nico is going to try to pretend that Clancy has voluntarily become a bishop and joined their side. And now we get to the outro, which I referenced a moment ago. I used to see it felt so real, but now I plead, just take the deal. I promised you a contract. Again, if we assume that this is sung to Nico, it is very reminiscent of a song off of Self-Titled, which I've mentioned before in other videos in the past, A Car, a Torch, and a Death. He laid it out what he had planned, and I said, I'll take the grave, please just send them all my way. And it could be, if this is a song which is a conversation between Clancy and Nico, that he has understood what Nico's plan is, right? Over the course of the song, he's wondering what he's going to pull this time, what his plan will be. And so it could be this idea that Clancy is, as many people have theorized in the past, planning to offer himself, or trying, desperately pleading that he might offer himself up and take the grave in order to be a sacrifice for the rest of Dima, right? There's this contract that he's made, a deal with the devil that he's made with Nico, and he's pleading that Nico would honor the arrangement. It could be at some point in the story that we didn't quite see, but perhaps in the Skilled and Icy era, as we sort of saw in the song Choker, he'll sign on the line below. Clancy made a deal with Nico, and so he's come now face to face with Nico and is prepared to honor the terms of the deal, to sacrifice himself. But as Nico smears him and sends him to that other plane, that other realm of existence, Clancy becomes afraid that the necromancer, Nico, isn't going to honor his arrangement. He's worried what he's going to pull this time, and so he's pleading desperately, please honor the contract, don't breach it. But it definitely doesn't seem to be, as I thought a couple weeks ago this song might be, that Clancy is breaking a contract. He is instead asking someone else to honor their contract. Assuming, of course, that the song is from Clancy's perspective, but I do think it is. I think there's a lot to indicate here, now that we have the song as a whole, that it is sung from Clancy's perspective. And then there was a couple things in the music video which, of course, are worth mentioning. Obviously, it starts basically where Paladin Strait leaves off, but actually a few moments before. At the end of Paladin Strait, we see Clancy reopen his eyes. And this is all taking place not during the minute of silence in Paladin Strait, as I theorized at one point, but during the moment at which his eyes are closed, those couple of seconds in Paladin Strait. His eyes are closed, he's been grabbed by the neck, presumably smeared by Nico, and sent into this other plane of existence. And there he's met by a horde of people with glowing eyes, or creatures with glowing eyes. They seem to be people, and based off of what we know from the rest of the lore, I think it is fair to assume that they are the glorious gone. And so this is kind of the afterlife, or the afterlife as it exists in Dima, or some kind of limbo, or again, other plane of existence. Very reminiscent in the imagery of the music video to the cover art of Cancer, which is interesting. Probably coincidence, but interesting nonetheless. And in many ways, it seems like Clancy's there to free the glowing-eyed creatures from this plane of existence and send them up towards that bright light out to freedom, and isn't sure if he himself is going to get outside also. I want to get out there, but I don't try. Maybe he doesn't try not because he's afraid, but because he can't yet. His mission isn't accomplished yet. And then later he will, perhaps in the next song, when he actually opens his eyes again. I'm still curious to see exactly what Josh's role in all of this is or will be. Obviously, he's there drumming, in this other plane of existence. At the end, he comes and offers the coat to Clancy, and Clancy doesn't seem to take it, although he doesn't seem to fully reject it either, quite explicitly. But yeah, it's a little unknown exactly how he fits into all of it at this moment, because obviously the last time we saw him, he was outside in his bandito outfit, fighting against the seized vessels, outside the walls of Dima. Is he using his power again to get into this other plane of existence? How exactly does that work? I'm not entirely sure yet. But with that being said, this was just a very brief, very preliminary first look at this new song and this new music video, which just came out. I'm very excited to see not only what comes next, but what else there is to discover in the song and music video as we sit and dwell with it more and consider more the implications and the meaning behind so much of it. Thank you for watching this brief discussion. As always, comment your own thoughts on the song and music video below, and don't forget to subscribe for more music commentary and reviews.